Hi, good afternoon students, and welcome to all of you once again in my next video. And this video is also related with the subject of history. So our today's topic of discussion is a new conservatism after 1850. A new conservatism after 1850. So see, before delving into the depth of this topic, I would like to discuss or make a quick revision of whatever we have discussed in our previous lecture. So in our previous lecture we have discussed about what did liberal nationalism stand for. So as we all know that liberal word has a Latin root and it came from word liber. Liber means what? Free. So what did liberalism stand for the people of early revolutionaries of France? Liberalism, they understood and demanded in terms of social, political as well as economic terms. So in polity they demanded government by their consent, means a government by the consent of the people, as well as how the government could be formed by their consent through elections. So they demanded a voting right so that they will be able to elect their rulers. And we have also discussed under that polity of France was changed many times with the passage of time. Okay, first of all, a new constitution was prepared in the year 1791, and again constitution was amended in the year 1792, and again after the fall of the rule by directory, the constitution was amended by Napoleon Bonaparte. And through economic strengthening and bringing administrative changes, economic liberalism could be established. There was a demand of the middle classes, especially the businessmen, to form a unified economic corridor or territory so that there could be hassle-free or there could be unbarred or unhindered movement of goods and people. They also demanded a uniform currency as well as standard units of weights and measurements. Improvement in road and railways were also seen. So these were the steps that were taken under the process of liberalism. So now focusing our discussion on the today's topic, that is a new conservatism after 1850. What does conservatism mean? It stands for, it is the restoration of old form or structure. Conservatism means it is the restoration of old form or structure. So what would be the meaning of conservatism in terms of this topic? So under this topic, government was to restore the old monarchical system. So here the question arises that what has led for the bringing of the monarchical system or restoration or revival of the traditional form of government, that was monarchical form of government. So only after 1850. Okay, so see, we all know that France was the only country where the demand of democracy reached its peak, and people carried out revolutions in the protest of monarchical system. They demanded freedom and liberty. And whereas its neighboring countries like Britain, Austria, Prussia, as well as Russia had monarchical form of government. So it was natural that a conflict would develop between these countries, and it was the Napoleon's policy that had resented the neighbors of France. What were the policies of the Napoleon? Let us see. Napoleon had an imperialistic policy. Imperialistic policy. So what does imperialism mean? So let us understand by making distinction between colonialism and imperialism. Colonialism, imperialism. Other is imperialism. So what does colonialism mean? Colonialism means conquest of a region for its economic exploitation. Economic exploitation. Exploitation. Colonialism means conquest of a region only for its economic exploitation. Means the raw material from these underdeveloped countries was to be imported to the industrialized nations, so that after their processing maximum profit could be gained. So here the motive was only for economic gains, whereas imperialism means conquest only to make territorial gains. Territorial gains. Under imperialistic policies, the policy of the aggressor is to increase its territory. Okay? So see, as we all know that Napoleon was a dictator, and he promised its citizens that he will bring democracy. He will provide maximum liberty to its people. But under the cover of democracy, he brought authoritarian type of government. Means he became himself dictator, as well as whatever areas or the neighboring countries he conquered, he made to sit his puppets on the throne, so that his authority could prevail all over his empire. Okay? So the countries like England, Prussia, Austria and Russia was very much resented due to imperialistic policy of Napoleon, and they also realized that these kind of activities and the rumors that were spread by Napoleon's army, that they were dedicated and motivated to bring democracies in the neighboring countries of France also. They promised the people that he and his army would dethrone the monarchical form of government and bring democracies everywhere in Europe. People became hopeful, so it was a challenge for the countries where monarchical form of government was present, like England, Prussia, Austria and Russia. So these countries together waged war against Napoleon, and Napoleon was defeated in the Battle of Waterloo. Battle of Waterloo in 1850. So the supporters of the conservatism were aware of the fact that monarchy in its original form is difficult to bring, because people have hopes and aspirations and they wanted more and more liberty. So a monarchy in its original form is difficult to bring, but instead some changes could be brought in the traditional institutions, in the traditional institutions of state and society. So what does traditional institutions of state mean? Let me rub this and explain it. So see, let me explain it here. What were the traditional institutions of a state? Traditional institutions of a state mean monarchy, feudalism, clerical, systems, etc. Whereas traditional institute of society includes serfdoms, slaves, etc. So conservatism thinkers wanted that the changes brought by the Napoleon in the administrative field was great, but monarchical form of government should be brought in, and that should be done in phases. Sudden changes will be disastrous. So conservatives wanted that instead of democratic form of government, we should do every possible thing to bring monarchical form of government. Because its supporters were the monarchy, were the countries where monarchical form of government was present. So after the defeat of the Napoleon, the representatives from these countries met at Vienna to sign a peace treaty under the chairmanship of Duke Metternich of Austria. Under the chairmanship of Duke Metternich of Austria. A congress met at Vienna in 1815 and they decided that they would undo all the acts or injustices done by the Napoleon Bonaparte. So according to the decisions of Vienna Treaty, the changes that were made were accordingly. Let us discuss. First of all, let me rub this. So the changes that were brought after Vienna Agreement 1815 are: the monarchs of the Bourbon dynasty should be made to sit on the throne once again. France should be limited under its original. France should be limited under its original territory that was before Napoleon. Means France should leave claims from the territory that was annexed by Napoleon. See, the changes that were made under the decisions or under the agreements of Vienna are: monarchical system should be brought in France and its ruler, that was from Bourbon family, should be made to sit on the throne, and territorial gains of the France should be taken away from France, because these territorial gains were made by Napoleon Bonaparte by invading the neighboring countries. So that territory should be given to those countries, those who lost its territory. And a colonel and watch on the France should be made by creating or rearranging a new series of states along the frontiers of France. A control or watch system should be imposed on the France, so that it could be prevented from further territorial gains. So for that purpose, a new series of states were created along the frontiers of the France. So what were the changes that were made along the frontiers? That are as follows. Let us see. So under a new series of states that were created, the changes were made as according. Netherland, which included Belgium, was to the north of France. Netherland, which included Belgium, was to be created or given the state or the territory along north of the France. Genoa was added. Piedmont from south of France. Genoa was added to Piedmont, which was given south of France territory, and Prussia was given territories which was west of Prussia, and Saxony was also given to Prussia. See, Prussia was given territories to the west of Prussia so that it could form the boundaries along the France. And Saxony region was also given to Prussia. Apart from this, Austria was given some territory north of Italy. So, see, some parts of Italy, or we can say that northern Italy was given to Austria. The territories that was north of Italy or northern Italy, we can say that northern Italy was given to Austria, so that a better war would be made possible on the France, so that its further imperialistic policies could be put on hold or prevented. And apart from this, German confederation of 39 states were left untouched. German confederacy of 39 states were left unchanged. So these were the changes that were made so that monarchical form of government could be restored. And not only these were changed, apart from these changes, there were certain other changes that we are going to discuss. So first let me rub this. So apart from these changes, in the east, Russia was given some territories of Poland so that Russia could keep a watch on the French extension of its territory. As Russia was also the part of the combined forces that had defeated the France. So see, these were the changes in the territories, and the monarch from the Bourbon family that was thrown in the past was restored its throne, and an autocratic regime was again established in France. Apart from this, conservatives also laid emphasis on the making of new rules and regulations so that revolutions like 1789 could not get repeated. So for that purpose, censorship act was launched, and this censorship act was to keep a watch and give punishment on the release of newspapers, books, plays, songs and drama that have contents against the monarchical form of government. So see, censorship act was brought so that a restriction could be placed on the publish of books, plays, newspapers, songs and drama, so that anything against the monarch could not be published, and if anything against the monarchs was published, then provision of punishment was also made. So from now onwards, one could easily realize that the memories of the French Revolution could no longer was to influence or inspire the liberals. Now liberals were not inspired by the memories of the French Revolution, but the only fact that continued liberals to disturb was that freedom of press that was being taken away by the conservatives. Now the liberals was not bothering about the rights or the liberty of the people, but the only thing for which they were bothering was for freedom of press. The memories of French Revolution was not bothering them. They were not, now they were quiet and they were doing nothing to demand for democracy. For some time they sat quietly, but the only thing that was making them disturb was freedom of press. So this was our topic. We will continue our discussion of history. So thank you for